Thank you for watching Creative Backstories. My name is Kendal Brown, creative and entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to inspire others through the power of creativity. Ryan Gholson is a multifaceted creative whose work spans education, ministry, music, performance, and culinary arts. Known for bringing heart, creativity, and care to every space he enters, Ryan weaves together his passions in life in ways that never cease to inspire. His work reflects a deep commitment to community, expression, and using his gifts to embrace and nourish others. Enjoy the conversation. And so you were certainly one of the persons, as a person who I deeply admire your journey as creative and your commitment just to your own creative expression and the ways in which you show up for the people that you love. And you do that in ways in which I deeply admire and also I deeply aspire to.
Mm.
I just love the way that you love people. And it's not anything that's forced, it's not anything that you try to do, it's just who you are. So I wanted to talk to you about your creative journey, and particularly, there's so many aspects. You are what they call a multi hyphenate. You are a person who is in culinary arts. You are in theater arts. You are in music. You are in education. You are in pastoral ministry. And I certainly can't address all of those things in 1 hour. So,
Right, right, right.
but I do want to speak to a couple of aspects of your own creative journey. So let's go way back, travel with me way back
Yeah.
to your first food memory. Tell me
Ooh,
about your first memory of food, or one of your first memories of food.
that's so interesting that you said that. One of my first memories of food that I have etched in my etched in my head rather, is my mother. I had a birthday party. I don't know if I was like 3 or 4 years old. We were living in North Carolina at the time, and my mother was
What
making
part?
crepes. We lived in Jacksonville. My
Okay,
father was a
that's right.
Marine, so we were in Camp Lejeune.
Hmm.
We lived in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and I remember my mother making crabs. And I guess that now that I'm older, I've realized that I guess that's unique. I mean,
Your
it was very
sound
much a
went out
Baltimore
on me.
thing.
Let me see.
No, are you there?
It's still showing as registering. Um,
You can hear me?
Jeez, I
You can hear
maybe
us
it's
both.
my speaker. Hold on. Maybe it's my AirPods. Hold on 1 second. Okay, talk again.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. All
So
right. So your first memory, sorry, is your mom making crabs?
she was making crabs at a birthday party. And I don't know why it just sticks out because I remember, this is awful. I remember the crabs trying to get out the pot. So like that memory is just like stuck in my head of those her making those crabs and that crab just trying to get out the pot. That's like really one of my first memories of food.
And is there anything that's striking about that memory to you?
I think it was celebration, right?
Hmm.
And it was a moment that I remember, but people were there. If I remember, people were there to celebrate me. It was my birthday, and
Hmm.
I'm a little of older age now. Birthdays were much simpler then, right?
Right.
I remember that party, and I remember that space. People
Yeah.
being there to celebrate me, and I remember my mom preparing food. And I
Hmm.
just remember birthdays, although may have been simpler then, they were nice. It was just
Yeah.
intimate time with you and your family. Your parents made the cake. My mom, who is not a professed baker, she made a yellow box cake every year with chocolate icing. And that was what I wanted.
My favorite cake.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I wanted. It was a chocolate box cake it was a yellow box cake with chocolate icing, and I looked forward to it. I looked forward to it. That was my birthday.
Did I tell you about the time? Did we tell you about the time that Bryant made that cake for me, my favorite cake, for my birthday, and went through all of the motions of making it from scratch? and I made the mistake of saying, you could have made
Uh, I think you did some of that. You could have just got the box. And
it.
he probably looked at you crazy like, after all I've done. And you know what's crazy? I've actually found a recipe that emulates the box, which most people
Yeah,
would not
there's
want to
just
do.
something, it's just nostalgia for me.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
had that cake at church, had that
Yes.
cake, it's a cake that my grandmother most often made.
Yep.
Um,
So I loved it.
yeah. So when did your interest in cooking start?
I think my interest started with eating, and I didn't realize like I loved eating good food. My mother cooked. I was raised in the time where my mother she made food for us. Say she cooked at least 4 times throughout the week. Fridays was the night that she did not cook, but she cooked a lot. My father even tried to have his hand in it. And then there was a time in my life where my parents went through a separation and a divorce. And my mother it was so traumatic for her that she came out different. She stopped cooking. And by this time, I was 12 years old. She stopped cooking. I mean, she always made sure we had food, but it was not the things that I was used to. So,
Right.
me being the person I was like, I don't want no cold cut. You know what I mean? I don't want no pizza. I'm not eating no pizza.
I
Are you
want your
crazy?
food.
I want some food. So, as she was upstairs, just trying to get her life together, sad, just could not motivate herself to do the things of life. I started going in the kitchen. And I started going in the kitchen and cooking all of the things that
Because
I
you're
had
not going to
saw
do it.
saw her make, saw my
Wow.
grandmother and them make over the years. And just like you, I used to watch those cooking shows faithfully. My mother said I had a weird kid. Like most kids were up Saturdays watching cartoons, and I'm sitting at the couch watching Julia Childs. Or, as you guys said, that guy from Louisiana, he talked about cutting the onions. And I'll never forget
Onions.
his big steel cookware. You know what I mean? Like I watched all of those things. So I got into the kitchen. And eventually my mother was like, "What are you doing down there?" And she would hear me rattling the pans and she would yell or what to do. Well, do this or do that. And I started doing it. I am not exaggerating. I would say probably by the time I was 15, I could make the whole Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
And so, like, I have memories. My friends who have been friends for a long time would tell you in high school, they all would come to my house and I was cooking. Matter of fact, my mother would bring friends over the house and they'd be sitting talking and she'd be like, he, they're like, what is Ryan? He in there frying some chicken. And I literally would be in there frying some chicken, for them. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I love to do it. And then there was church too, right? So at church, the people at church, I went to a very small storefront church. We used to have like breakfast in between Sunday school and morning worship. I just like cooking. And eventually, I mean, I was down there, I was cooking for service. I was pushing the mothers out the way. Like I would go to church, I would lead service, I would do back then it was devotions. I would lead devotions, sing and direct the choir. And while the pastor was preaching, I was upstairs frying chicken to be sold at the church and then come back and sing.
That is hilarious. What a picture.
Yeah, that literally was my life.
What is your first musical memory?
Ooh, there's so many. So before I actually started singing and knew that I could sing, I tried to play the piano. I started taking piano lessons, and my memory, I remember one time. By this time, we were living in Honolulu, Hawaii. And for church, one time, I was taking piano lessons, and I was like, "Oh, this is cute." But I want to learn to play something I could play in church. And I took this to my piano teacher, and she's a white trained classical lady. But I'll never forget, she taught me to play Amazing Grace. She pulled out the sheet music for Amazing Grace, and she taught me to play Amazing Grace because me, as a 7-year-old, I wanted to find something I could play in church. So I learned to play Amazing Grace, and we did it for a Sunday evening service. I played, and my father sang.
Wow.
So that's like one of my first like music memories. I have that on video. It's on beta somewhere. My father singing to me playing Amazing Grace. I mean, it was horrendous, but it was funny. It was special.
You have to send it to one of those places and get it converted to digital so you can upload
I'm gonna have to, but that was one of my first memories. My first musical moment of me singing, we were back in Baltimore, and this is so funny because it's so like the opposite of my personality now. Back in those days, because I said it was a small church, it was Men's Day. So all of the brothers had to sing on the choir. And of course, they put the little boys up there too, right? And my father was supposed to lead a song. We were singing, and you know I hate quartet music, but it was some kind of old quartet song. I think it's Children of God, keep on marching. Children of God, keep on marching. My father was supposed to lead the song, right? And I don't have a voice now, but it was this one part that was very high, and he couldn't do it. Moses stretched forth his rod, the water separated, and the children went marching across, whatever. My father couldn't do it, and in rehearsal, he kept cracking, and it was just like funny. So finally, one of the brothers and deacons said, "Man, you don't got that. Let the little boy do it." So he was like, "What?" He's like, "Let him sing it. Let him try to sing it." Because I probably was mocking my father in the background because he couldn't get it. And I was just mocking. I'm like, no, just being a kid.
it.
And when
Hmm.
he did that, he said, "Come on, Ryan, try it." And I try it. And when I tell you I killed it, just killed it.
And took
And
the whole song.
nobody could believe it. My mother, when we did that for that Men's Day, I'll never forget, was in the back of the church boo-hooing like a baby, like shouting boo-hooing as I sang. And from then on, I became Master Ryan Gholson. I sang all the time, everywhere. I was my pastor soloist. Like, and
Wow.
which is weird is because his wife was also the church musician, and she sang, and she used to sing, she sang for him all the time too, before he preached. But as I started growing, I became the person that he would call before he would sing. And I'm young. So imagine me like 9, 10 years old. It's like before I preached today, service was long back then. I want Master Ryan Gholson to come and sing me a song. I had like 3 songs in my repertoire. But when I sang them,
Do you remember what they were?
I do. Because he lives, I really love the Lord. And I used to sing the wrong words. I used to sing the wrong words. You don't know what he's done for me.
Gave me
Gave
the
me the
victory.
victory.
I
Oh,
still can't get with faith is.
I sing it now, and people in my church still roll their eyes. Even though they like, I'm like, I know this, y'all not used to it. They still like, I'm like, this is the right words. But that was one of my songs. And what was the other one? Oh, this is going, by the time I got to like 12, 13, it was I Won't Complain. I know that tears your nerves up. That was another one of mine. And I used to do my church that appreciated hymns. So I used to do I found a friend who is all to me. His love is ever true. I don't know why people used to love to hear a kid sing that. Saved by his power divine,
Mm.
saved to new life sublime. Life now is sweet and my joy is complete, for I'm saved. And church used to go off. Like go off. Just hearing a kid in their true innocence
Hmm.
singing those words. It used to bless the congregation. So yeah, music was there. And then in school, it became a thing, and it's been a part of my life.
What was it like growing up in the Baltimore choir community?
Ooh. So what's so funny is, and it's so weird because I grew up in this small church. So I was kind of removed, but my church was in an organization, and we're Pentecostal, apostolic, oneness churches, right? So even from this small church, I started to make a name for myself where people in the organization knew me. And then I did a community choir when I was in high school. And when I did the community choir, I started to travel the circuit of all the churches in Baltimore, and people started to see me and know me there.
Hmm.
And those were some good days. Those were some good days. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a different world back then. You know,
Yeah.
uh, I lived to be at rehearsal on Fridays. I lived to go to a joy night as a teenager that started at 10. And
Hmm.
you couldn't tell me nothing that I was getting home at 12 or 1 o'clock because we had been in there
Could you
churching
go to
like
midnight musicals? Did your mother
I
let you go?
as long my mother, I think about this, she was so supportive, she would go with me.
Oh, wow.
My mother would go, fuss and complain all the time, but she would take me. She would go her and she would drag my little brother along, and they'd be sitting in the midnight musicals and making sure I got a ride home.
Yeah, my parents were Baptists. They weren't
Yeah,
doing all that.
and my
And,
mother is not even. It's not like she's a musician. Neither is my father
mhm.
loved music, but she just, well, I guess, wanted to give me the chance to do that. And now that I think about it, it was also probably something for her to do too.
Yeah, yeah.
She was a young person, she was a young person at that time, so it was just
Hmm.
something for her to do. Yeah.
So I have this memory that's burned in my brain of sitting at the kitchen counter, and we had an 8-track player, and
Oh, you're older than me.
yes, I'm a little older than you. Um, we had an 8-track player, and one of the 8 tracks we had was, so my uncle was in the military, and he would send us all this music that we didn't get in Southern Virginia, like Charles Nix and everything that they played on the military radio station. And it
Mm.
was a lot of like Chicago gospel and Detroit gospel. Um, but we also had this Al Green, his gospel project. And I remember sitting there listening to it. And it's the first time that I had this moment of like feeling something that I'd never felt before. Um, this moment of transcendence, this moment of what we would call the Holy Ghost. Can you
Wiped you
remember?
out.
Can you recall the first time that music had that kind of transcendent impact on you, where it was
Mm.
more than just melodies?
Hmm. That is very strange. I remember songs. It's weird.
Hmm.
You know what? I do. And I don't know if this is emotional. I remember the first song that used to hit me emotionally. That, like, I don't know why. That it just, like, it used to do something to me. I don't know if it was sad because I was thinking like it was just a sad song, but you know what that was? It was "Tomorrow" by the Winans.
Oh wow.
Like, I remember as a kid hearing that song and being emotional.
Hmm.
Especially towards the end when he gets to that almost what's it, for tomorrow very well might be
Hmm.
too late. For some reason, that always is just like, ooh, emotional for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. I get that. Um, what were some of the food traditions of your family? Switching back to food, what were some of the food
Mm,
traditions of your family?
mm. So it's interesting. I learned this later. My mother was young, and I just assumed my mother learned to cook from her mother.
Hmm.
But in our travels, because we were a military family, she learned from other women in the church.
Oh wow.
So she learned to cook from, in North Carolina, there was this woman who had a restaurant. So my mother learned to cook some soul food dishes from her. You know what I mean? My mother, yeah, she learned to, it's a lot of different things that I'm trying to think that I remember her making. It's like, where did you learn that? And she learned that from some of the saints, whether it was her macaroni and cheese or whether it was her baked chicken and rice or all of those kind of things. We were a traditional soul food family, you know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
then my father was also military, so there were some things he learned in the mess hall because he worked in the mess hall. I mean, I always call it this stir fry I make, and I've made many videos with it. But that was my dad because he learned that in the military. Or yeah,
Tell me
my
about the
mom.
stir fry. Just give me
It's
a,
it's so
a,
it's
a
just
quick
it's
rundown.
kielbasa sausage with cabbage, mixed vegetables, and made with ramen,
Wow.
made with ramen noodles. So it's
I
very
don't know if I've
simple.
ever seen you make that.
It's very simple. I make it. I make it. I made several videos with it, and every time people, it's just something simple that a family
Hmm.
can make at home, and people love it. Like people, it's weird how people love it, and they love to make it. But yeah, just simple things like that. Soul food was always our go-to. I mean, my
Hmm.
mother could fry some chicken. She taught me to fry some chicken. You know what I mean? I always told people that if God, I have one friend. This is not your assignment, Kendall. That knows that if God calls me home before Him, I ask Him to get up in my service and publicly declare I loved Ryan And that ninja could fry some chicken. He knows that is his job to get up and he better say it. You know what I mean? Like, soul food
I'm
was
a
outstanding.
witness. I'm a
Yeah.
witness. That time I left your apartment after seeing your double fryer for the first time, I said, "There's nobody like him in all the earth."
Yeah. And I was like, I was so, because it's such a part of our routine. It's like, what are you talking about, Kendall? It's just our regular, what are you talking about? He was like, no. Yeah.
Mm-mm. No, no. For a pot that large, it would have been outside. Like we used to, when I was a kid, we had a friend. My dad had a best friend. Dad and mom had a couple that were best friends, and one was from South Carolina, and so they would come out to the house, and we had a big black kettle. It was like
Uh-huh.
this big, and then they'd make a fire, and we'd fry fish
Oh,
with
wow.
the kettle. But that was the only time I'd seen anything as large as what you were frying chicken in.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about how the role that creativity plays in your life. I've watched you like curate space for people that you love and care about. I've watched you in performances. I've watched you do your cooking videos. I've watched you on your professional journey as an educator. Um, and all of that involves some type of creativity and expression of creativity. Talk to me about what creativity means to you. What?
So it's interesting. So just recently, I was in therapy. I don't know if I can share this, but I was in therapy, and as I was working through some things that had happened to me in my life, I realized that it was through creativity that I found my voice in the world.
Mhm,
And creativity was my outlet. You know what I mean? It helped me to find my place. It's where I gravitated towards. You know what I mean? When life
mhm,
got difficult, as my parents' relationship was, falling apart, I dove into creativity. It's where I channeled my emotion. It's where I channeled all of that. When I was young, you know me, you didn't know me these days, people always said that young kid. The reason I think people love to hear me sing in those days, like he sings with so much soul.
mhm,
To be such a little kid, people always were like, he sings like he's been here before. Like there's something even like the emotion that he sings with. I hear that even now as an adult. Like it's something different in the emotion that he sings with. And it's not that I'm running or doing anything. It's just the intent of the way I sing. But all of that is connected to my experience. And I use music to express myself and to just be who I authentically was. And not just music, but all of my creative beings, like all my creative things was just an outlet for me to just naturally be who I was and find a
mhm,
way to express myself. What I think it really came into is not only express myself, but it was my gift. It's my way of
mhm,
giving. It's something I enjoy still to this day doing. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but when I was young, I used to do hair.
mhm,
That was my thing, right? So it was just all of these things were just melting together. I was finding my niche on what kind of creative being I wanted to be, but it was just they all centered around expressing myself and just giving back.
Finger waves are back.
Listen, get in my kitchen right now, $15. That head will be laid, dyed, fried, laid to the side. You hear me?
Oh God. Um, so so being talented, being creative in so many different ways, how have you navigated choosing the direction and the ways in which to channel your creativity? Because I'm sure many different opportunities are presented to you, many different paths are presented to you. How do you go about navigating the choice, the decision as to how to express your creativity?
As an adult, I've come to grips with just being comfortable to know I can't do it all at one time.
Hmm.
And at some point in my life, certain things may take precedence, right? And that just, and I don't let people push me to say I have to choose one. I have to do this one thing. That's not the life I choose to live. I choose to express myself through all my creative mediums. It's just a matter of at what time, what's going on in life, and what at that particular time I need to focus on, right? There was a time in the season where my cooking had really exploded. You know what I mean? Like the business that I had been doing a lot of catering and things like that. And I loved it. But then education kind of took more of a forefront. So I was not able to cook as much for others as I wanted to. And I was okay with that. There was a time
Hmm.
where opportunities for me to do shows on stage were coming. And I welcomed those opportunities. And when that season came, as it still does every now and again, I accepted it. I did that, put something else on the back burner, and just keep rolling like that.
Hmm. And to think about people who've inspired you, who, if you had to name your
Ooh.
top five teachers, um, and I don't mean necessarily educators, but people that you were paying attention to, because part of my work is part of my hope for what I'm writing is to invite people to think about what they were paying attention to and the people that they were paying attention to, because that's often an indication of how we're wired and what's important to us and what makes us come alive. And the people who we pay most attention to are the people who are speaking directly to the most authentic part of us. So, who have been your teachers?
So I want to start with my parents. Although my
Hmm.
parents were not musical, they gave me confidence because they believed in me so much, you know, and still to this day, I always say that if I had a performance in the alley, my parents would bring their lawn chairs out of their trunk and sit in the alley and listen to me perform just because they believe in me that much, right? My
Hmm.
mother, she's not a singer, but she taught me to ad lib. You know what I mean? Like she would say, "Hey, all right, Ryan, when you sing this song and you got this part right here, you gotta say a little something right there." And she would say, like, "Oh, maybe you wanna add a scripture. Like you sing this, say this, or add a little something right there." And then I would practice it, and then I
Hmm.
became like an ad lib person. I'm not no Lillian Lloyd, but I learned to, you know what I mean, ad lib, right? And then from there, I had some school teachers that were just phenomenal. My godmother, who played the piano, I'm told as a child, she would play the piano in our church, who was also my pastor's wife. And I would run up from the aisles and I would go sit with her while she played. And she would sometimes put me on her lap. Or when she directed, she would just let me stand right there and hold my hand as she directed. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
just those kind of things when I was young. I had some phenomenal music teachers that really noticed my talent and gave me a lot of creative space and opportunity. Fifth grade, Miss Bilby, Mr. Killian, seventh grade. You know what I mean? I had a principal, Miss Cheryl Pastor, who made sure I got into a performing arts high school. You know what I mean? And then when I got to college, my performing arts, my vocal coach, Mr. Pendel, was my voice teacher. He taught me to sing. You know, like, and he knew I had a lot of natural raw talent, but I mean, especially when I was going in a classical kind of route, I mean, he just really, really did a lot of wonders with my voice. So
Hmm.
it's just been so many people along the way. Darren Atwater, he was the first person that ever gave me a job to sing at 19 years old. Soulful Symphony started, and somebody just was like, "Hey, Darren is doing this thing. We know you're musical. We know your church experience. You also read music. You should come and join." He was the first person to ever pay me to sing. Up until
Hmm.
then, people gave me a chicken sandwich and a Pepsi, and I was happy about it. And if I was good, a piece of pound cake with it. Darren
Yeah.
Atwater, he gave me a check to sing. It was the first time anybody ever paid me to sing music. I've been very fortunate to have a lot of teachers along the way.
Hmm. Hmm. How was the Soulful Symphony um, at New Psalmist?
That show did not happen.
Oh, what happened?
That show was postponed until February.
Oh,
Darren
okay.
has been
Good.
getting over Darren has been getting
Good.
over
So I can be
illness.
there.
You can be there. So
Hmm.
he put a pause on that, and it's going to be happening in February.
Okay. Good. 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 Well, not good, but I can be
I'm
there.
glad
So.
I'm glad you didn't miss it.
So tell me about a time when something that was important to you, that was creative, didn't go as planned, um, was a flop, even perhaps. How did you handle that, and how did you bounce back from it?
So I always share this story with my students, right? When I was an undergrad, sometimes the choir director I had likes to sometimes use this strategy to play people against each other.
Mm-hmm.
He felt like a good rivalry kind of kept things alive in his choir. And somebody that I was a very good friend with, he almost kind of had us as like a rivalry. Like, you know what I mean? You're talented, but he has this like astuteness. So he could, you know what I mean, really do some work. So he used to play us against each other, I felt like. We were doing, I left, not left, but I decided to do a play, which people in the music department were not doing. I was doing a play, it was a musical. And this person was also in that play. And I got cast as his understudy. And that kind of bothered me just because we already had this rivalry thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But I was his rivalry, his understudy. As an understudy, I did not get a lot of time on stage. I didn't get a lot of practice and all that kind of thing. I was kind of crushed and I was just bothered by it. I went to the director and I was going to quit. Like, this is just not for me. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to quit. He encouraged me to stay, said nothing else about it. One show, or there was a rehearsal that person could not be there. So I stood in and did the rehearsal. I had no idea who was in the audience watching this rehearsal. I get a phone call. This is my senior year. I get a phone call a couple weeks later, and this woman, she says, listen, I was at Morgan. I was in this play rehearsal, and I saw you on stage. I was just really impressed. I am going away to Europe for 4 months to do this tour with this group that does spirituals, gospels, and all of that. One of our singers canceled out, and we are looking for somebody new to do the position. And when they told me that we were looking for somebody new, you were the first person I thought about. She said, I told the director, and this was in Germany at the time. She said, I told the director, I just saw this young guy on stage, and he is phenomenal. We should hear him. He called back to the States, set up an audition for me. And before you know it, I was in Europe for 4 months doing this tour. So that was one of my greatest like life experiences and learns for me, because I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I had done something so bad because I did not get the quote unquote lead part and that I was an understudy. But I pushed through and I learned that you never know. You never know who's watching you, and how one moment that you think is insignificant can turn into something great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, being in Germany for 4 months?
Oh, I grew up and we could
Mm-hmm.
talk so much. I had been home. I had been to Europe, you know what I mean, before. I traveled. My mom sent me as an Italian exchange student to Italy when I was young for several weeks. I had been touring with the choir but that moment I was grown. I was out of college, just finished school. I was grown and I learned so much about myself, and those people there nurtured me to find acceptance in who I was in a way that I'm just internally grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
That experience changed me.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first time that I had ever been away as a guy who grew up in church for a long period of time. It's the first time I had been away from church for an extended period of time. So I had to really find out what all those things really meant to me. So
Mm-hmm.
I got rooted and grounded in something deeper than I could ever imagine. It was
Yeah.
that experience that I really grew up.
Mm-hmm.
It was life changing for me.
Mm-hmm. So switching gears as we kind of go down the hill, got just a couple more questions left. How do you go about refilling your tank when you are depleted creatively? What are some restorative practices for you?
Mm. Sometimes I just need to rest and do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I just always have to go back because many times, like in many things, we do these creative things for other people. And sometimes I have to stop and just do stuff because I want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff that is just fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not worried about the product,
Yeah.
but I am more concerned with having fun with the process.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that, it fills my cup. It really
Mm-hmm.
does.
Hmm. Name a creative dream that you have, if you can share.
If I lived my life with no fear, I would move to Europe and I would open up a soul food restaurant, in
Hmm.
particular in Frankfurt, Germany.
Hmm.
Frankfurt has a lot of uh, people who at one time were soldiers and just
Hmm.
stayed and have just started their life over. There are a lot of black people in Frankfurt,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, who originally were in the States, and there's like a whole culture.
in
And I
Berlin
would
too.
go there and I
Yeah.
would just open up a restaurant.
Hmm. I can see that.
Yep,
You know that Mashama Bailey just did that in Paris.
really.
She just opened a soul food restaurant in Paris.
I have to look that up.
Hmm. I'll send you. I saw a video a couple days ago.
Yeah, send it to me. That's what I would do if I had no fear.
So what's next for you?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm getting the itch to be on stage.
Hmm.
So I'm listening. I have my ear open to some of the theaters who have been reaching out about some of the projects they may have coming up. So I'm getting that kind of itch. So I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm thinking about ways to make my food to be more into the social media and creative space with marketing and putting things out there, making more videos, building an audience and that kind of thing. So I'm looking towards for doing that. We shall see.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Oh, one thing I didn't ask you earlier. So, talk to me because I've been at some of dinners that you've hosted and spaces that you've created. What are your hopes for those experiences? What are you trying to create? What are you trying to provide when you host an event? What's your hope? What's behind that?
So I always think about who I invite. I mean,
Hmm.
I try to bring people of like minds and like spirits that will
Hmm.
just people that can feel free to be themselves and have a good time and just learn from each other. And simply people that are going to just come and have a good time, right? I
Hmm.
try to provide food that just will make people happy.
Hmm.
And usually, and I know this may sound selfish, I start with things that make me happy,
Yeah.
like food that I just love. You know what I mean? I just like to make people happy. And I think about the
Hmm.
whole experience. I want you to come in and look around and say it looks good. I want you to come around and say that it tastes good. And I want you to have a good time. That's just
Hmm.
the way I like to do things.
Oh, you do it well.
Well, thank you.
So, in closing, what would you say to someone who is perhaps struggling to find their creative outlet, or someone who's afraid to express their creativity, or just needs an encouraging word from your own experience?
I was saying that don't minimize the creativity. I
Hmm.
believe in my own personal experience and belief system that creativity is a gift. And it's something that you have been uniquely given. And it is a part of who you are. It's not an extension of who you are. It is who you are.
Hmm.
So don't be afraid to tap in and to use it so that you can come fully and really just live and dive into who you fully are. Many
Hmm.
times, you know what I mean? I think, especially as people who are so used to being creative, that we take those things for granted, right?
Yeah.
But I try to pause and just wake up and just say, thank you. Thank you for this gift. Thank you that I'm unique, that I see things differently. And it's just helped me so much in life. And this is who I am. This is not just an extension of who I am. This is who I am. And once you settle in that, live your life based upon it.
Hmm. Thank you. Perfectly said. Perfectly said. I've been amazed. I used to ask the question in my workshops how I used to ask people how they express their creativity, and I felt like some people were being put on the spot
Mhm.
when they felt like they didn't have anything to say. So I just kind of open it up for people to share if they want to now. But I'm amazed when people share that they don't have any kind of creative outlet.
Yeah.
Because it means so much to me, and I know it means so much to other people. So, Reverend, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
You
And
are more than welcome.
if folks want to follow you on social media, I don't know if you want to
Sure.
invite that, but if folks want
Ooh,
to find you or
yes.
perhaps connect, please
So, okay,
feel free to
so
offer how they can do that.
so I have two Instagrams. Feel free
Okay.
to please follow me for my food journey at Lazy Appetite on Instagram, and then on Instagram also God Loves Storks. I'm on TikTok too, or the Tactic. What is it? TikTok. I'm on
Ticky
TikTok.
tock.
On the TikTok too. God Loves Storks. I'm there.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to sharing this and getting it out so that people can hear more about your journey.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for considering me.
Thank you. You're welcome.
All
I
right.
love you, man.